Welcome back to the Siloam Plus podcast, and hopefully there's some music playing right now, unlike last time, due to a poor editorial
We're going to fire the
blunder.
editor. We're going to fire the editor.
Fire the editor, yep.
That's right.
Well, my name's Josh Watford, and across the table from me is...
John Nicholson. I'm here.
And we're here for... Did you know, John, that this is the 12th? No, 11th. Is it? What?
I don't know.
Well, man, hold on.
I've lost count.
Yeah, hold on. Let me pull that up because
Josh is about to find out.
I
how many of
literally
these
just
we've been
looked
doing.
at it, and I think I kept it all.
And while he's looking, let me just say again, we are just overwhelmed by the response to this. I mean, it was literally when I first pitched the idea to Josh, I made mention of if we have 10 or 12 people that tune in on a semi-regular basis. But you guys are blowing that far away. And we've even had somebody with the audacity to say that some of you are getting more out of this than out of the sermon on Sunday morning. I'm not sure how to feel about that. But there it is. It's okay. If it's meeting a need, we are grateful. And thank you for being a part of it. So how many is it, Josh?
It's 11. This
11.
is the 11th podcast
The 11th
that we've
episode.
done.
Wow.
So we have talked for at least a total of 5 hours on this microphone.
Which means you guys that are listening have listened for at least 5 hours. That's
I'm
amazing.
so sorry.
Well, we're glad that you're enjoying it because we are having a good time, and we'll be having others on board with us here. We were having some of those conversations last week with some folks, and they're going to come some really good opportunities to have more of your voices on the podcast because we want to hear from you. We want to hear what's on your mind and how you're reacting and how you're responding to the issues that we're raising and the things that you're dealing with and how God's working in your life. That's one of the great joys, I think, with this.
Yeah, and we're definitely open to topics after this.
Please.
Once we begin the next year, we're going to be changing stuff up because we're looking at possibly because we've been doing this as just kind of an extra discussion from the sermon, but
Which
we're
has been
looking
good.
at. Yeah, and we're open to doing that next year.
Right.
But we're looking at what might this look like in the following year. We already have some ideas,
Right.
but we don't have to listen to ourselves all the time. And so
Which is a good thing.
Yes, very good thing. And so we're definitely open to other suggestions for all that.
Just to help us know what do y'all need to hear about? What are things that are topics that you would really like to hear? Maybe our opinion, or we can bring in the experts and get other folks to come in and join us for this. That's one of the beauties of doing a podcast kind of thing like this, that we can bring other people and other voices to address some of those issues and needs that we're facing in real time right now.
Yeah, I think we can go ahead and advertise this.
Yeah.
Where one of the ideas that we had was to have questions come in from people who listen to the podcast and from the congregation at large, and so we'll be putting together a form that we'll put out there on Faith Life for you to fill out. It's totally anonymous. You can ask any question that you would like, except for where babies come from. I can't help you there.
Yeah, talk to your mother.
Yeah, but particularly theological, biblical, cultural questions. We would love to see where everybody is at on these things, the questions that you have, and we'll pick some number.
Sure.
Don't know what number that would be. We probably won't be able to get to every single question, but we would like to answer some of the bigger questions and lump some together. And so that's one idea that we had.
Right.
But just be on the lookout for that link that we'll be posting soon. Again, it will be anonymous, so you can ask the craziest question that you have, and I think we would even love some laughs over some
absolutely.
odd questions.
Yeah, we're open to the strange things as well.
But to the actual podcast,
Let's
John.
get it. Well, this is the actual podcast. This is
It
what we do. We just sit down and we talk.
It's the actual podcast. So, but it's kind of like a lot of my papers that I do. It takes me about 10 pages just to get into my actual paper.
Right.
Like, okay. But
Yeah,
that's
he's
besides
in
the point.
academic mode, but that's okay.
Yeah.
So, before you get there, I've got to know, did you get any short jokes last week?
Actually, I didn't.
Oh, I am so disappointed in all of you listeners.
Yeah, I didn't.
I've got to tell y'all this story. There was some glitch in my working with the podcast where I was listening, and mine came up at 2 hours or something like that the first time. And so I bumped Josh, and it was just killing me, not because it was a 2-hour thing, but where it was looping, because it was just on this weird little loop thing. But where it looped was Josh telling this thing about the short jokes. Oh, it was just owning me. It was just so fun. Anyway.
Yeah, apparently there was some glitch in the last one that I don't know what was going on.
We are super high level techno wizards here. We know exactly what we have no clue.
Yeah,
we
I don't know either. So
if we punch the button, it doesn't work. Oh well.
I'm just glad it's out there.
There we go, no doubt.
And so I think that's a win. But yeah, hopefully there won't be any glitches. If y'all notice any, just let us know.
Sure.
But okay, where were we going with that?
We were about to start and really dive into talking about things like humility and Advent.
Yeah, that's right.
How all this ties into evangelism.
What I was going to say about the short jokes was that I really expected some from Diane. So
where are you, Diane?
I now know
Diane.
that she is not listening to these podcasts, and so because
You've been
if
called
she
out.
did, I know she would have sent me a
that's
short
so
joke.
fun.
But anyways, yeah. So let's talk about the topic at hand, humility and Advent, and how those go together, and possibly how everything we've talked about so far kind of comes to a head here.
Yeah, I think we keep carrying these conversations forward, and that's one of the purposes of the podcast, just to help us to flesh this out a little bit more. But through the Advent season, we are going to be looking at Philippians chapter 2, verses 1 through 11, which we hope that you are working at memorizing, that you are hiding that in your heart, so that on the Sunday immediately following Christmas, the 26th, part of our morning worship service will be us sharing that together verbally as part of our worship. So be working on that. There's a daily reminder on Faith Life for that, but we are utilizing the English Standard Version of that. But anyway, back to this. Philippians chapter 2, verses 1 to 11. The first part of it, Paul talks about being of one mind and one love, and being in full accord and having one mind. And
have this mind among yourselves.
Yeah, that's verse 5.
Which is yours in Christ Jesus.
It is.
That was the one that popped up this morning.
Yeah, it's so good. And I love that in verse 5 because it is ours. It's not something that we develop. It's not something that's going to be given to us later. It's ours now.
Yep.
We just need to embrace it and have it and start living that out. And part of that is this humility. And it fits Advent, Christmas, all this, because this is Christ who let go of all of that was rightfully his in order to come to us.
Yeah.
And so all of this kind of fits together. What is this gospel message we're sharing? Is it us going out here and beating people over the head with 4 spiritual laws? Or I keep going back to that because that's one from my young years. But are we going to go out here and just beat people over with the Bible? No, it's how do I serve you? As Paul says in verse 4, let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. Even in evangelism, which we talked about last week, I can get real self-serving in that, because my interest is I've got to go out here and tell X number of people, or I'm going to make sure that so-and-so that I have identified as a potential person who needs to know the gospel, and so I'm going to make sure I share the gospel with them, and I feel good about that because I've done that. But have I served them? How have I approached that? Am I approaching it from what I need, or am I coming to them with where they are?
Are you just trying to get a gold star for yourself in heaven, or gain theological points with other people that you talk to? And it's just I constantly go back. We haven't gotten there yet in our memorization, but where Jesus empties himself and takes the form of a servant, not counting equality with God a thing to be grasped.
Yeah,
that's so. We can get in some theological weeds
there's
with
some
that,
big things.
and those are things that we can talk about in the podcast later on. But the point of that is he humbled himself, to take the form of a servant, and then obeyed even to the point of the cross. Right. So, there was one sermon that I heard. I can't remember the preacher. He talked about how if you were to smoke bomb some fleas that have infested your house, and you wanted to warn them to get out of the house before the smoke bomb came, would you just stand up there and start yelling, "Hey, fleas, you need to leave"? No, the best way to tell the fleas about it is to become a flea yourself. And the chasm between God and us is much bigger than even us and fleas.
No doubt.
And so, not a perfect analogy, but the point is, would you become a flea?
And I think that's really where we are. That looking not only to my own interests, because that's what we're wired for this. I need to. I got to be looking out for where I'm going to get my next meal, and how I'm going to pay for that next tank full of gas, and what I've got interests, I got needs, I got to meet, and so we're wired to do that. but to have this other focus, and to imitate Christ in that because he came, of course, he didn't have any needs, because he's God, but he let go of all that perfection in order to come and meet our needs. How do I do that? And what does that impact then have for the kingdom? And this is part of this embracing humility. And I think, to go back a little bit to our conversation from last time, is that the Advent season sets that up really beautifully for us in so many ways. One, because there's a genuine openness, I think a softening in people's hearts and lives to those kinds of things. In some cases, there's an expectation that for service and good things and those kinds of things. But even so, there's a softening to the opportunity to talk about some of these matters. Why not take advantage of that? Why not enter into that and look at it as a chance to be a part of what God's doing in those people's lives? And I just think we sometimes rush to, and particularly in our culture with the over-commercialization of it, it's about lights and Santa Claus and all those things. And I'm all about that. I'm about to put Santa Claus up in my yard tomorrow. He's going up as part of our decorations. But to recast, to refocus that vision again on Christ intentionally.
Right.
And this goes back, again, gathering up all of our conversation with spiritual disciplines. So much it was just the intentionality of it, to do this for this purpose.
Yeah.
For us growing together. And I think it feeds wonderfully right into the Philippians 2 idea, where Paul's talking about this. It's the you plurals. This is second person. It's all of us together in this. We got to do this together, and not be doing our acts of service so we get the humility badge that we can wear with pride. Right?
Yeah. I'm more humble than you.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
So there's two things I wanted to say out of that. One, it's interesting that humility is a marker of a Christian. Mainly because there's been so many studies done on how Paul and Jesus and the rest of them have taken virtues of the Greek culture and Roman culture and have, used those and kind of made them into Christian virtues. But humility is nowhere found in other cultures.
Right.
That was not a virtue.
It's one of the unique contributions.
And I think that's the same for today. Like we like to say we like humble people, but that's not the type of people who get into power. That's not the type of people who run the world.
They don't have big social media followings.
Yeah. And so recapturing the idea of humility in Jesus, I think, is crucial for us, not only during the time of Advent, but for our lives as little Jesuses, as Christians. And then the second thing that I wanted to mention, you're talking about keeping our eyes focused on Jesus during this time. Brittany Harper told me a story of her little girls, and she could probably tell it a whole lot better than I can. But she said that she and Roger overheard the girls talking in their room last night. They didn't know that they were listening. And she said Ellie said something about Jesus is better than Santa Claus, and Addie was like, yes, he is. And I'm trying to remember exactly who said it, but one of them said that that Santa Claus gives gifts, but Jesus gives eternal life.
Wow.
And I told Brittany, I was like, you're doing something right.
When the kids get it, that's it.
Yeah. And so whether or not you celebrate Santa Claus or you do, we need to make sure that our kids and then others around us know where our priority is in this whole season. It's not gifts, as good as they may be. Sure. It's not the decorations, as good as they may be. It's not the cheesy Christmas movies, as terrible as they are. But it's Jesus.
Yeah. Absolutely is. And to approach that with that sense of humility and grace going to others, because listen, another part of this season, invariably, I had a conversation yesterday with Scott Guffin. We'll be hearing more from him, but last year was a COVID year for them. They had some deaths in the family, and one of them was right around Christmas, and so they're facing that in the next week or two, that memory of that moment. And there are a lot of people with those kinds of things, or there have been other issues that have arisen. And we could, again, come with, we're here to save the day and come in riding on our white horse, and here we are to, help you get through all this. what about if we go with humility? What if we go with, let me just come alongside you wherever you are right now, and if you need somebody to weep with you, I'm going to weep with you. Or if you just need somebody to come and sit quietly with you, I'm going to come sit quietly with you, and I'm just going to meet your need right there where you are. And it's not about again, me sharing the 4 spiritual laws or whatever. That's important. I need to get the truth of the gospel to you.
Right.
But maybe in order to get to the truth of the gospel, I need to show you the truth of the gospel. That because Christ came not to be served, though he could, because he's the king of the universe, but he came to serve.
That's right.
And I need to make that part of my life. Who am I serving? And then again, why am I doing it? Am I doing it so other people, so I get my gold star, so folks see me serving? Right. Or am I doing it just because I genuinely want to exhibit the love of Christ to you, and hope that offers an opportunity to tell you about the love of Christ?
Yeah. This is a great time to go to places like the nursing home and other places where people may be feeling lonely during this time.
On the street. And, one of the stories that generally comes out or usually comes out this time of year is how badly treated people that are in the public sector, retail, that sort of thing, restaurant employees, how they're treated this time of year. What a tremendous opportunity to give a great gospel witness just by being somebody that's halfway decent to people.
Yep.
Just being a nice person.
I've been on the other side of that cash register during the holiday season. It is horrible.
It's not pretty.
Yeah.
But here, again, looking at this, and you might be 14th person in line, and you may be, chewing at it and thinking, my gosh, I'm really upset and irritated that it's taken so long, and why is that person, having to run the 4th credit card to see if it'll, whatever. And you get up there and you're ready to pour it out, but this cashier has, they're doing their very best. Why not just bless them?
Yeah.
That's a practical way. Or the lady that's waiting on you at a restaurant. How about tipping real high? And tell them why. Hey, I've been blessed, so I want to bless you. I want to let you know that God wanted me to bless you in some small way. So I read about one family that they do a Christmas brunch every year, day or two other side of, but they all bring $100 bill with them. They pay for their meal, and whatever's left, it's the tip for the waitress. And they've done that for years, and they've got some incredible stories with it. But I thought, wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And that's not being showy. It's just saying, here's something I can do for you. I can serve you.
Yeah, and coming up with those practical ways during this time, like we've been saying over the last couple of podcasts, the culture itself is ripe.
Yes.
The harvest is plentiful.
Right.
And so why don't we just take advantage of what is already, instead of trying to fight against culture all the time, right now is a time where we don't have to. Well, you still have to fight, but what I'm saying
we
is
got to contend for the faith.
The ground is prepared right now during this time to where there's just opportunities galore,
right?
And people are open to having those types of conversations, and you doing service projects and talking about your faith during Christmas time is probably more well received than any other time. And so come up with ways with your family, with friends, with Sunday school classes, with just anybody else that you know, even by yourself, that's fine. But we're talking about community, so it's good to do this in community. Right. Come up with ways to be able to serve our community and even other people that you may know.
Right. And one of the ways it's coming up for us right now, we've just put out the word, we've just gotten the word that we're going to be able to do another food distribution next Tuesday. It'll be December the 14th. I think I got that name. Yeah, the date right. But, could we be out there blowing the trumpet and say, hey, look at us? Yeah, we could. Or can we approach this as we're really glad to serve you? And, one of the things that comes out of that is, I have to put aside myself, because sometimes there are folks with the last one that we did a week ago that came through the line. I'm thinking to myself, I'm not really sure you need this.
Right.
Why are you here? Well, let me just serve you anyway.
Yeah.
Because I think about, and it's caused me to do a lot of reflecting and thinking through, because I think about how Jesus must look at me sometimes, coming with my hand open and ready to receive when, So anyway, it's just one of those moments. This is an opportunity for us to put this into practice, and not to come out here and beat our chest and that sort of thing. Just say, hey, let me serve you.
Yeah, there's that, and I'm thinking about we're planning on doing Christmas caroling.
Yep. Wednesday after Christmas.
Wednesday after Christmas. Just want to make sure I had that date right.
Yeah.
And that's I always get comments from everybody that we usually go caroling for, and they'll call the week after we go caroling, just say, I really appreciated y'all coming by.
Right. And
some of the people we go to see don't have a whole lot of visitors, and now particularly after Christmas,
right.
Because
and see, this is where we're getting backwards. This is Advent. This is we should be anticipating, and then we celebrate. I mean, let's go celebrate. And so that's why we're going caroling after Christmas this year.
A lot of people feel lonely leading up to Christmas because of all the festivities and stuff, but even people who aren't lonely even before Christmas, after Christmas, there's just this...
You come down off of it.
Yeah, you just come down off the high.
Family's going back home, trees taken down, all the stuff.
Yep, and that should be the time where we're celebrating the most.
Yep.
He is born.
Right. Joy to the world. That's what we're going to do. And
right.
so that's part of what we're trying to help all of us do with Christmas. And doing the caroling after is a chance for us to intentionally, because it's going to be odd going door to door singing
We'll
Christmas
probably get
carols.
some weird looks.
We will. But hey, that's okay.
Yeah. So about humility.
There we go.
Let's count others as more important than ourselves.
That's exactly right.
Because what we're doing, we're wanting to serve them.
Right.
And we think it's a really good way to serve them.
I agree.
So let's do that. I'd love to have a good crew here.
It'd be a lot of fun.
Wednesday after Christmas. Well, John, we're at 21, 22 minutes.
That's all right.
So that's...
We've had some of you say that we need to talk longer, but we want to keep you listening for a while.
Yeah.
About that.
So, but I wanted you to just be aware at the time.
That's cool.
But we can talk more. Is there anything else that you wanted to add?
Yeah. Just I want to encourage y'all with the memory verses, because as I'm working through this with Philippians 2, and we're going to be doing this every Sunday up until Christmas. I just want to encourage you to take some time and really meditate on it. Whether you actually get all the words right or whatever, that's beside the point. But I want to encourage you to engage with it, because pondering what Christ did when He came to us is a worthy exercise for all of us, and it changes. Yesterday I was dealing with, let each of you look not only to his own interest, but also to the interest of others. Man, it just, for whatever reason, it just hammered me. It's not that I was terribly self-centered yesterday, but it was just, what am I doing? In my family, let's start right there. At the church, where are my self-interest getting in the way of me being interested in what's going on in other people's lives?
Yeah.
So just meditate on it and begin to, let it work down into your life. That's the whole notion of it. And I think it will lead to evangelism. It's going to lead to a deeper love for Christ. It's going to lead to a better love for our family, and for our neighbor. And it's going to help us ultimately, hopefully, celebrate Christmas rightly.
I think so. Well, John, if you don't have anything else, I'm done.
I don't even have a short joke for you, Josh.
Not even a short joke?
Not a short joke.
or a short joke. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Share it and comment on it, like it, and give us suggestions and anything else that you may have. Critiques, we're open to those as well. And we're excited for this Christmas season, and excited to learn Philippians 2 together. So just plug in, be a part of this conversation, and be a part of the community that's going on here at Siloam.
And have this mind among yourselves, which is yours in Christ Jesus.
That's right. See you next time.
Thanks.